Jon Gruden's back. He's at the combine. Let's listen and react to some of the things he's been saying.
Jon, when did you decide Camp League was not an option for you coaching? When you decided to return to coaching, when did you say, no, I'm not going with the Bucks, I'm going with the Raiders?
When I was fired.
Not recently? Not
No, no.
No discussions at all?
Nope.
What he says, when I type Jon Gruden offensive playbook, I get pages and pages of playbook. Yeah. Are you going to go another direction offensively?
A PDF?
No. Download the playbook. No, you're probably the coach where I can actually download what you've done in the past.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare. So I'm wondering if you do that.
Well, a lot of coaches have been on my staff, have gone different places. Players got into broadcasting. Some of that stuff leaks out there. So we're changing the presentation of our offense. Really excited about the diverse staff that we've hired. Terminology will be different. Formations will be called differently. And we're going to run some different kinds of plays, but we can't be too specific today because we really aren't sure who we have on our roster.
See, right there, the media, they're already trying to pigeonhole him. They have him coaching again back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they believe they understand his whole roster, his whole offensive philosophy. Spider wide tube banana. They memorized something. I'm surprised they didn't say spider wide tube banana right there.
Well, it's been important. Number one, spent a lot of time hiring a coaching staff. We did not rush that process. And then we evaluated our roster, our current roster. Went through practice film, game footage, talked to the trainers, obviously Reggie McKenzie and his staff. And then you got to get ready for free agency. You got to study who's available. You got to get to know your salary cap, what you can do, what you can't do. And now here we are at the combine, but to answer your question, it was helpful, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah. He can't even really evaluate the team because the thing he's itching, he's going to say this later, he wants to talk to these people. He wants to talk to the players because he wants to see how they tick. We've all watched his quarterback camps. And he loves to set up those confrontations. I know that's a show and everything, but that's Jon Gruden too. And he definitely doesn't like the salary cap the way it is now. And the salaries.
Obviously, defensively, there are some glaring needs at this time. Free agency hasn't started yet, but our linebacking core, we have a lot of unknowns there. Navarro Bowman is a free agent, looking for an inside pass rusher to step up. Our secondary, we have to clean that up. But I think most importantly with the Raiders, just looking at our last 3 drafts, we need some young people to emerge and start playing a lot for this football team.
See, right there, the media is going with this Bowman thing. Now, Gruden might be spilling the beans right there. Maybe Bowman sees this as, hey, I came in there, I got the first interception, and I was the catalyst. And he was, to change the defense slightly. But he's probably asking for quite a lot of money. And that might be indicative of that, what he's saying there. But he's a free agent. But then again, he could be putting it on Bowman saying, hey, look, we need a middle linebacker. And you call yourself a free agent. You could sign with us right now. But whatever. There is definitely needs. And in like he says, you don't need rocket science. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out that the Raiders definitely have problems with just, it's actually their whole defense put together. It's not just one guy, two guys here, three guys there. And like he said, all these drafts, every other team they just replace old players with draftees. That speaks to a system, I think. And also the evaluation in the draft. They drafted Connolly, who was an accused rapist. And he comes in, he gets injured. Then they draft Obi Menafanu, or whatever his name is. And the knock on him was he doesn't have football skills. He's an athlete. And so far, that's what he is. He's not a football player. Those two guys need to toughen up and learn how to play football, especially Obi. He's got this great speed and everything and athleticism, but if you can't stay on the field, what good are you?
Speaking of that, what are your thoughts on last year's first-round draft pick, Gary Conley, and is he going to be ready to start the offseason?
He's going to be ready to start the offseason program, and just talk to him briefly. We're not allowed to have contact with players. I have bumped into a couple of the players that have been in and out of the facility for various reasons, but he's our first-round draft choice. Everybody liked Conley at Ohio State. He had an excellent training camp. When I studied the training camp film, he was inside playing the nickel position. When the season started, he was out at right corner. He's a young player. We're counting on him and Obi Melifanu to play, and we need him to. But we're really excited to start working with him.
It's right there, reiterating. Those two guys need to play. They are very high draft picks, and they're not playing. I mean, there's a good reason why the Raiders, their record doesn't even indicate what their real record could have been, because, come on, in the Chiefs game, those refs actually gave the Raiders that game. They gave them 100 chances to beat the Chiefs. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but it's pretty obvious the refs were helping the Raiders in the end of the game. He did give off a big heave and sigh about Conley, though, because I think he's frustrated with the idea. I mean, this guy comes in. He probably doesn't like, the off-the-field crap. It's just a distraction. But he needed to step in last year. He was actually drafted to be a starting cornerback on the Raiders. I mean, in the cornerback position is multiple these days with all the 4 and 5 wide receiver sets, 3 wide receiver sets. You need 3 or more cornerbacks.
I know Marshawn is getting, how you doing?
Hey, hi.
I know Marshawn is getting up there in age, but yet he's still almost at 900 rushing yards. When you look at this upcoming season, how prominently do you feel like you project that he would still participate in your offense? Some people think he's washed up, but looking at almost half of his games, there were like a lot of games where he got 14 carries or less. So I'm just kind of trying to see where you see his effectiveness based off of how he was utilized.
Well, our program starts April 9th. Looking at the film and a game that I broadcast on Christmas night, there's no question he's still a beast. That's hard to bring down. And one of the reasons I'm excited to be with the Raiders is to join forces with Lynch. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, we got to take a look at the entire roster. And but I'm counting on him. I'm counting on him being a big part of our football team.
And that's interesting, and the media's obviously gone with that. Okay, Lynch is safe. I don't know if Lynch is safe, because I've obviously watched this before, and he does give indications about continuity, and he makes comparisons later on about the Patriots and about how they can just instantly switch their offense. And it's very important to be able to do that, to have very flexible players. Now, Lynch, he prided himself on blocking. He went to some high school and taught them how to block. And then he got Derek Carr whacked pretty good in the Washington game when he was leading the nailing brigade. He also is not very good at pass or receiving. And he's undisciplined. In other words, he's not Charles Garner. Charles Garner was put in there for certain reasons, but then again, they had Tyrone Wheatley. Now, if Gruden's going back to 1998 or around that time, he might be thinking in terms of, we don't have our Charles Garner, but we are going to need a Tyrone Wheatley. Marshawn Lynch is our Tyrone Wheatley. I think that could be argued. If he's totally being sentimental and nostalgic.
Yeah. Well, I got Paul Gunther from the Bengals, so got a lot of respect for my brother, obviously, and a lot of young coaches that are doing great. Sean McVay, Coach of the Year, the NFL, was on my staff. Kyle Shanahan's doing great. It was really cool seeing a lot of those guys walking around, and if they can find time for me, if they can fit me in while I'm in Indianapolis, hopefully they can answer some of my questions.
Why did you go after Gunther?
Well, it goes back from my days visiting Jay in Cincinnati, getting to know that coaching staff. Zimmer was the defensive coordinator. Gunther was the linebacker coach. I thought that was an excellent staff that Marvin Lewis had. And every time I had the Bengals in Monday Night Football, I was always impressed with the way he coached on the field, taking advantage of the time in pre-practice, post-practice, and what he got done with Vontaze Burfict, Vinny Ray. Very impressive. We're excited to have him.
Okay, well, that speaks to the way he's been preparing for this moment, preparing for coming to back to the NFL and analyzing other people's teams to see how things are done and how they are prepared for the game. Now, Raider fans have had to put up with Ken Norton Jr. for how many years? And it just looked like he was not prepared for anything. He wasn't adaptable. I would have asked him to compare him to Ken Norton Jr. personally. I don't know. I don't know how well Gunther is going to be able to react when things change. I mean, that's how you have to approach things. When you play the New England Patriots and the Raiders were just schooled by them, they were just embarrassed in Mexico City. And they couldn't even get any lasers going. They just would switch up formations on him, and Ken Norton Jr. be scratching his head. He did not know what was going on. He did not know how to react. And that's the main thing about coaching, I think, because you can prepare for a game all you want, but it's how you react within the game. Remains to be seen. Because he actually has to do a little more than just react. He's got to motivate those players. He's got to get those stupid players to think, believe in a system, and they've been in and out of systems, the ones that have been there around for a while, and they don't trust anything, I don't think. I think Pagano did instill some, some continuity, some trust, and they need more of that.
Well, it's a lot different because you're not allowed to have any interaction with the players. And, I've always complained about that since the new CBA came in place. A lot of players would come to see me in Tampa to get their football fix. So you're not allowed to have contact with these guys. But what's most discouraging to me is we've got to make some decisions on our roster, on salaries, on players and their futures, and you can't even meet them. You're not allowed to. I don't know these guys. I've never coached them. Never met half of them. So that's been very, very difficult for me, and I've been emotional about it at times.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic. I don't even know how they came up with this. Oh, you can't talk to them. You can't talk to them before the draft, before April 9th. And it leaves the players on this Twitter, Instagram island to become these little pseudo Napoleons. These megalomaniacs. No, I got my money. I don't need you. I mean, that's the attitude. That is really the attitude where the coach has been neutered by the collective bargaining agreement, which comes up in 2000, by the way, the new one. And I guarantee it's definitely being argued right now. But he can't even look at the players. He can't even talk to them unless they accidentally bump into each other, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I look forward to matchups with everybody, and I got a lot of respect for Kyle and the way that he's gone about his career. Obviously, he's been fortunate to have a dad like he has, and to have some experiences as a young man that have really fast-tracked him to the success he's had. But certainly, yes. Are you talking about the analytics, the GPS, all the modern technology? Man, I'm trying to throw the game back to 1998. Really, as a broadcaster, I went around and observed every team, asked a lot of questions, took a look at the facilities, how they're doing business. There's a stack of analytical data, or data, however you want to say that word, that people don't even know how to read it. It's one thing to have the data or data. It's another thing to know how to read the damn thing. So I'm not going to rely on GPSs and all the modern technology. I will certainly have some people that are professional that can help me from that regard, but I still think doing things the old-fashioned way is a good way, and we're going to try to lean the needle that way a little bit.
And that's exactly what the Raiders need. They got to get off Twitter, Instagram, and they need to start actually preparing for the games. There's been so many times where they're not doing the most fundamental things, catching the ball. They're not reacting. On defense, it took them, 10 games to get an interception? They set a record for that. That's football. And you can overanalyze things with all this data crap. I hear data crap all the time, and it really hurts things. Like if you sold things on eBay, for example, they hire those geeks, and those geeks tell the upper echelon that this is how it should go. You should do this and that to sellers. And what it does is it destroys people's lives. It changes the whole system and opens a door mostly for foreign sellers. Chinese, Indian, All these little geeky sellers who are going to sell things below cost, and they think that's great because the customer's like, wow, I made a bargain today. And the same thing with football. But I'm going to tell you right now, he is the analytical data. I mean, he is the one who is analyzing the game. He is the one who's going to assess things based on gut reaction, and there's nothing more honest than just pure emotion. And we've all seen him on the sideline. We all know him as Chucky. Many Raider fans, they remember on the message boards, and someone called him Chucky. I remember it. I forget which message board it was, but someone called him Chucky, and it stuck. And he was always making that Mo Howard-like face, like, what the hell are you doing? And he demanded a lot from those players. And, speaking of, like, analyzing certain things the media has been saying, like, some are saying Crabtree's going to be cut. Yeah, Crabtree has lived up to Cracktree mentality. But I think Jon Gruden is going to want some older players that he can rely on. He's going to want these younger players to step up, but, he's going to be looking at, I need someone that I can rely on, that I can push in a certain direction, not be this young player that's going to, go on and get all snowflakey. I mean, that's his analytical data that's going through his head. He's thinking, he's probably more nuanced now. Jon Gruden is his own computer. He spends a lot of time, obviously, watching film and designing things, schemes. And he's been doing that ever since. So all this analytical data or whatever is a bunch of BS.
John, what did you make of Bruce Irvin's season last year?
Who's?
Bruce Irvin. And where does he fit in the plan?
I like Bruce Irvin. I know Bruce Irvin. I like him because he plays. If you look at play time, the amount of percentage of snaps, he's out there all the time. He played through a back problem early in the season. And I really think he's playing a difficult position because he's really an edge player. And when you ask him to play over the tight end or over the offensive tackle at his size, you can get beat up. But he's still a very good pass rusher. I think he plays with good effort. We just need to get him some help so he can do the things that he does the best more often.
John, where do you
See, it's another indication of how he is reading the data. He is looking at the Raiders being dysfunctional on defense. Players out of position. They're not playing in their best position. They're not getting help. Wonder what he thinks about Khalil Mack, because the way he is being used is, to me, it's just, he's not being moved around enough. So the defense isn't being confused enough. It's just always a bull rush on one side, and the offenses can totally game plan it. Take him out. Triple team him. Blah, blah, blah. No, he's got to be moved around. As the ex-Raider defensive coordinator, what's his name? I can't remember. Rob Ryan, I think it is. How he said it. It's like he's being misused last year. And he was. I mean, you've got to shake things up. And I'm hoping to hell Gunther is going to do that. And I get the impression that Jon Gruden's thinking the same thing when he's talking about Urban.
see Amari Cooper on his growth curve? Obviously, the first couple of years, a lot more productive. He was injured last year, but do you see a digression with him, or is it injury related, or where do you see him?
We think Cooper is going to be a great player. We think Amari's not only a great prospect, a great player, he's a great person. He had a lot of injuries last year, and that impacted him, but he'll be the focal point of our pass offense. I hope he's listening here today. I look forward to joining up with Amari Cooper. He's got tremendous quickness. I think he's smart, he's versatile, he's a gamer, he likes the bright lights, and he'll be the headliner in our offense.
See, what he's saying right there is something that many Raider fans, including myself, criticized, especially a couple of years ago when the Raiders were, in the playoffs. Here he is, this player that can actually change the whole game, and he's doing these dink and dunk routes and these screens, these negative 2-yard screens, and all this other crap where he's just getting hurt. He's being asked to be this, like, what was it, the Patriots, Amendola or Edelman going over the middle and getting crunched every time. He's downfield. Derek Carr needs to be better downfield. He needs to be able to hit Amari Cooper downfield. It's got to be set up that way. There's got to be more play action pass. There wasn't anything. So Amari Cooper was hardly ever put in the best light. And he got injured by the style of offense they were doing. Really. It's as simple as that. He needs to be able to catch better, but you know something? He might catch better when he's wide open. I mean, that's what play action pass is for. But it was never set up, and I guarantee Derek Carr can do play action pass.
You mentioned going around to other teams as a broadcaster and learning about them. What did you learn about the Patriots?
Oh, man, I'm envious of the Patriots. I really am. The Patriot way, finding players that are versatile, finding players that can adapt on a weekly basis to win a game. They don't care how they beat you either. They're not afraid to use the 60-minute clock to beat you in the final seconds, and they're not afraid to blow you out either. But they can morph themselves into a two-back team. They can come out with 5 receivers and play no-back formations. It's just a pleasure to watch them adapt every year to the new rules and to the new men on their roster and on their coaching staff. And it all starts with Belichick and Tom Brady, certainly. But the people behind the scenes there deserve a lot of credit.
I see what he's talking about right there is you have to have a team that can adapt on the fly. We've all watched, teams, they'll bring in different packages on offense, and the defense brings in their packages, and there's all rules set in place. How fast you can do that or whatever. But you know something? It is much better if you can just change the formation without removing anyone from the field. That's why he later talks about fullback. He wants that option there. A lot of Raider fans, last couple of years, we've complained about, why wasn't Marcel Reese getting any passes? Going back to 2014. Why is before then? Why is Holowally not getting any looks? I mean, why has he been taken out of the offense when he might be one of the best offensive players they have? I mean, I don't know.
I thought Derek did some good things, honestly. He's He's got tremendous arm talent. We didn't play to the level we played 2 years ago for a lot of reasons. He got hurt in the Denver game, hurt his back. I think that impacted the way he practiced. I think it impacted the way he played. We had a new feature back, new offensive coordinator. Struggled, I think, on the right side of our offensive line at times. Amari Cooper got hurt. Crabtree was suspended. All those things add up. And I'll say this, he's a lot of fun to be around, Derek Carr. I enjoyed meeting him when I had him on my show a couple of years ago, and he's got the right stuff. He's going to be a great leader for us.
Well, it looks like he's cutting Derek Carr a lot of slack right there, because some of the criticism was that Derek Carr was behind the conspiracy to get rid of Musgrave, because Musgrave was on his ass too much, and he wanted a chummy chum friend in Downing. But there was probably lots of things that the average one of us doesn't see. We've seen Derek Carr walk off the field just shaking his head like, like, what can I do? Or something like that. He does make some bonehead plays. And I think Gruden's gonna straighten him out on some of those. Remember he used to say stuff like, well, you know me, guys, I don't care if I throw 5 interceptions in the game as long as I win. No, it's not okay if you throw 5 interceptions, by the way, because chances are you're gonna lose. He's gotta do some things better. He's got to be able to throw deep better. He's got to develop better play action pass. Like I said, it's not being utilized. Play action pass can be set up from under center or it can be shotgun. You got to be able to disguise what you're doing. It helps when the receivers actually catch the ball, though.
No, nope. Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah. Well, you have to. You obviously have to change a little bit. But I think the roots, the foundation of what I know is going to stay in place. We're going to adapt to what the rules are and what our roster allows us to put out there every week. And I think that's the uncomfortable thing right now is I don't know exactly what that's going to be. But Greg Olson, Coach Derek as a rookie. Greg Olson was with the Rams. Edgar Bennett was the offensive coordinator with the Green Bay Packers. Tom Cable's been in 2 Super Bowls with the Seahawks. We've got plenty of people to help me adapt, and that we will do. But it's frustrating right now because we don't know exactly who's going to be with us.
Again, he can't talk to anyone until April 9th. But I think the question was more about how he's going to adapt despite a Y2 banana.
Hey, Jon, you were in Philadelphia before your original stop with Oakland. Just curious what your thoughts are on the Eagles.
Yeah, you know what? I was just happy for the Eagle fans. Those people deserve that. You know, it was really cool. I got a lot of respect for what Howie Roseman did. I asked our people in our organization, how did they do that? Some of the trades that they made, some of the free agent acquisitions that they made paid off beautifully. And Doug Peterson, his coaching staff, did a tremendous job winning a Super Bowl with a lot of new players, especially at the quarterback position. But I'm really happy for those Eagle fans. I really am. Yeah, Plant High School in Tampa. I might put their playbook in. No, I don't know. I think you study, you learn from everybody. That's the cool thing about the combine. You know, you start studying all these college offenses, which is what I did over the last several years. I was enamored with Patrick Mahomes' offense at Texas Tech. I remember Paxton Lynch running some really cool plays at Memphis. I look forward to watching Baker Mayfield and Josh Rosen and these young quarterbacks and seeing how they tore up the field. Maybe we can steal some plays and some concepts that'll help us.
See right there, the media is like spider wide tube banana, fullback, and he's clearly indicating he does adapt. He does look at new things. He's looking to steal some things. Uh, yes, he has certain concepts, but a lot of the concepts are attitude. When he talks about old school, he's talking a lot about attitude, preparation.
Yeah, that's to me is very special. I remember being here, seeing Marty Schottenheimer across the field, and Mike Shanahan and Junior Seau and the Chargers, and I'm just thrilled to be back in the AFC West, certainly, but with the Raiders, and it's been really cool. Not many people get a chance to go back and do it a second time, and it's a neat story for me. But I want to take advantage of the opportunity, and I know I have a lot to prove.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible having him back. It's kind of hard to believe. Uh, Chucky, just Chucky. That's all you have to say.
That kind of did push me over the top. I've, spent a lot of time with players and coaches around the country, and I've always had the urge to come back. But being on the field that night with Brad Johnson and Brooks and Rondé Barber, Joe Jurevicius, it did push me over the edge, and you only live once. So here I am. Well, I like Jameis. I mean, he didn't play much last year. He had some injuries. I think that hurt the offense as well. He gives the offense some deception because he can run. I mean, he's a fullback with speed, but he was injured. It impacted us in special teams, and it certainly impacted the offense. But I would like to have a fullback. They're a dying breed in football, but I think it does give your running game a lot of deception. And if Marshawn Lynch is the feature back, I think it'd be nice if we serviced him with a fullback. He had a guy named Robinson who's with the NFL Network who was a hell of a fullback. And you need a blocking tight end if you're going to slam the ball with a beast. So those are two things that I'm looking for.
It's like I said, what I said before about, you know, when he was with the Raiders at the height, they had a combination type of run and attack. There was Charles Garner, who could catch the ball out of the backfield and run the ball. And they had Tyrone Wheatley, who was much bigger and could smash the ball in there. I remember one game, I don't know if it was versus Dallas. This was earlier on. I think these guys weren't even on the roster. But he just decided he was going to run the ball the whole game, basically. And he beat the Dallas Cowboys. I think it was Dallas. And he just decided that's how it's going to be. We're just going to take over the game. Just going to win the trenches. And he wants those tools. Yeah, fullback is useful in that regard.
Well, I think their defense is a problem. I think the Bengals are blessed with a lot of really good personnel. And they've had a middle of their defense, I think, has been strong, obviously, with Geno Atkins and Burfict and Reggie Nelson when he was there at a high level, and a lot of first-rounders that allowed them to do a lot of cool things in the secondary. But I do like the pressure package. They don't always bring it. Matter of fact, they don't blitz a lot, but the illusion of pressure is a problem. But he gets guys to play. They don't make mistakes. They have some really good coverage principles, and they mix it up, which is hard to deal with, but he's a big reason I think the Bengals have had success, and if we're successful on defense, there'll be a big reason why.
Yeah. Just think of Ken Norton Jr. Okay, we're going to line up in base, and we're going to stay in base the whole time. We're not even going to blitz. We're not going to even fake it. We're not going to move players around, confuse what we're doing. We're just going to line up, and we're going to get beat. And It remains to be seen if he can actually turn the defense around because we don't even know how bad the defense is, really.
You mentioned Sean McVay. Are you looking forward to that matchup? And how would you kind of evaluate his first season?
Well, his first season, Coach of the Year, man. I mean, you can't do much better than that. He turned that franchise around. He energized them. Got the young quarterback to play well. Gurley had a fantastic season. Their offensive line stayed healthy. They're fortunate, too, in some ways. And he got a great staff together, which is a credit to him. You know, usually the coaches that win are able to compile really good coaching staffs. I think everything he did, everything he touched worked. And it's a credit to him. And I'm looking forward to competing with him for sure.
John, when you put this coaching staff together, timing is everything. You pick up a couple of guys in the league,
Hey, unbelievable. I coached with Mike Turgovac in Philadelphia. I know what kind of coach he is. I competed with Turgovac when he was a defensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. For him to be available was shocking to me, and I gobbled him up as soon as possible. And I coached Edgar Bennett at Green Bay. He won a world championship as a player. He won a world championship as a coach with Aaron Rodgers. And I was shocked, I'm stunned, and I'm very happy to have both those guys. And they'll be a big part of where we go with our football team.
Two more questions, guys.
Pardon me? Well, he was the best coach, one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. Obviously, he was the assistant head coach for me in Tampa. He coached two positions. He coached special teams. I let him coach the running backs. I even let him put together the meal that we served our players on the airplane. He did it all for me, and I wanted him back. He's a great leader, great teacher, and his standards are very high, and we're very happy to get him as well. What's that? I do. I like the camaraderie of it all. I get to, see a lot of you people that I know that I haven't had a chance to see for a while. Also get to fraternize with the coaches from around the league, and it's your first opportunity to see what kind of players we have in this draft. So I'm going to be a part of the interview process at night into the late evening, and I might be out after curfew a few times this week. I got a free pass from my wife, so look forward to seeing you guys.
Last question, Michael. Michael Crabtree.
Yeah.
His status.
Well, he's on the team. I mean, like I said, I'd love to coach all these guys. I mean, it's a big reason I was excited to get here. So we'll let you know. We'll keep you updated as we gain more information. I'm going to get a chance to meet with their agent. Obviously, April 9th, I'm allowed to officially start talking to these guys. So Reggie McKenzie has a press conference later today at 12:30. I'm sure he can update you on a lot of the contractual matters.
John, apparently competition is going to be speaking about the catch.
Good.
And then DPI possibly being a big priority.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on any potential changes?
Well, I got a lot of thoughts on that, but I don't know if I want to get involved. I'm not on the committee. I do know the catch needs to be cleaned up. And interference, should it be challengeable? I mean, if it's a 51-yard penalty, can I challenge that? That was my argument when I was coaching. I bet the NFL's glad to have me back because I'll be raising hell about all these issues. I got enough problems. I don't have to worry about the catch or DPI right now. I got to try to find some players to help us win. And it's great to see all you guys again. Have a great week. Okay? Thanks.
Chucky is back. That's all you need to know.